Whispers in the hollow. The wind tore across the desolate moor, carrying with it a chill that gnawed at the bones more fiercely than any winter frost. Under a fractured moon, Alis pressed on, each footfall muffled by sodden grass and scattered leaves. Her lantern's flame danced like a frightened creature, casting grotesque shadows that slithered across the gnarled roots and broken stones. Every so often, the light caught something, an owl's hollow stare or the glint of wet cobwebs stretching between rotted timbers. But there was no comfort in these signs of life. They felt like watchers, marking her passage through this forsaken place. Alis had come in search of answers. 3 nights ago, the village of Trindale had vanished without a trace, leaving behind empty huts and fields choked with weeds. Rumors reached her ears of a light in the old chapel, an unholy beacon that drew people out of their homes. Curiosity and dread battled within her as she navigated the ruined lane. Her breath hitched when her lantern revealed handprints smeared in dark red, trailing toward the chapel's silhouette, its steeple yawning open like a broken tooth against the sky. As she neared, Alis felt the air grow heavy, as if the world itself were bending to a malignant will. The chapel doors lay half sundered, hanging from rusted hinges, and beyond them, faint illumination pulsed. Each step, echoing on cracked flagstones, sounded like the beating of some enormous heart. She paused at the threshold, steeling herself. From within came a low humming, melodic yet discordant, like children singing a lullaby in a language forgotten by time. Inside, the pews had been overturned, their splintered ends jutting like accusing fingers. The altar stood defiled. The once gleaming crucifix had been flayed away, leaving jagged metal spikes reaching upward. Beneath it, a shallow pool of water reflected the lantern's glow, but the surface writhed with movement, slender black tendrils crawling beneath the oily sheen. Alis's pulse pounded. She raised her lantern higher, illuminating the back wall where dozens of crude faces had been carved into the wood. Twisted mouths open in silent screams, hollow eye sockets that seemed to follow her. A sudden chorus of whispers rang out, soft at first, then swelling into a frantic chorus. The words were indistinct, but their cadence was frantic, pleading, mocking, despairing. Alis's heart hammered in her chest, and she stumbled backward as something brushed her ankle. She crouched to see a pale hand emerge from the pool, fingers clawing toward the air. The whispering rose to a fever pitch. Every carved face on the wall seemed to wail in harmony. She quivered, lantern swinging precariously, casting frantic light across the stained walls. Rallying her courage, Alis bent closer to the pool. Within its depths, shapes stirred, ghostly silhouettes of villagers, their mouths working though no breath reached their lips. Their eyes, black hollows, locked onto hers, pleading. Then one reached up, fingertips piercing the surface. Alis tore her gaze away, scrambling to her feet. She knew, in that moment, the pool was a gateway, and whatever soul had lit the chapel's candle was drawing life itself into that dark mirror. A sudden crash behind her made her whip around. The door slammed shut of its own accord, plunging the room into shadow. The lantern flickered once, twice, then guttered as if suffocating. Panic surged through her veins. She raced for the door, hands scrabbling at the wood. The whispers chased her, circling her mind, promising oblivion if she dared to look back. With one final heave, the door burst open and she spilled into the night, breath ragged. Alice didn't stop running until the chapel and moor were swallowed by darkness. Only when she reached the crest of a hill did she glance behind. There, framed by the flickering moonlight, stood the chapel, its windows aglow with that unnatural flame. But at its door, a hunched figure stood waiting, face obscured by tattered robes, hands folded as though in prayer. Even from here, she felt its gaze, a promise of inevitability. Then the flame snuffed out, and the building fell silent once more. She reached the forest beyond the moor, collapsing against a tree. Her lantern lay broken at her feet, its light extinguished forever. In the hush that followed, she thought she heard footsteps, or was it the steady beating of her own heart? Somewhere behind her, a single whisper drifted on the breeze. "Return." Alice pulled her cloak tighter, tears mingling with the cold sweat on her brow. She did not know how long she stood like that, listening and praying that the hollow voices would not follow her home. When dawn finally broke over the distant hills, Alice climbed to a lonely watchtower overlooking the ruined chapel. Beneath her, the moor lay empty and silent, as though it had never claimed a village at all. Yet in the tower's cracked window, dangling from an old iron hook, hung her lantern, its shattered glass repaired, the flame within burning brighter than any candle aught. Alice reached out, dread coiling in her stomach. As her fingers brushed the metal handle, the flame flared higher, and the whisper returned, soft and intimate. "Stay." Her scream was lost in the wind.